Today I will be presenting the limitations of wires. With the new current climate, remote technologies are more important than ever to help with the ongoing situation within the world. This can be applied to music creation and performance with networked music performance. Musicians can work together in the comforts of their own home within different geographical locations and still be able to collaborate on music production and composition projects, from online band practice to studio recording without being at the studio, but while still having access to the mixing that the studio provides, streaming live music performances, and creating realistic, immersive virtual music spaces. In October 2016, a journal was published by the IEEE, which was written by Christina, Chris, Claudia, and Augusto, which explored the technicalities within networked music performance. And because it relies heavily on the capabilities of the telecommunications network it runs off, and achieving low latency audio data transfer is very difficult and is often out of the user's control. According to the academic paper, the ideal delay tolerance would be around 20 to 30 milliseconds. But this is just one of the many issues, such as maintaining an extremely low internet latency, preserving the audio quality, maintaining a high frame rate for if there is video involved, fast bandwidth speed to upload the data, audio stream synchronizations if there is multiple people within the band giving their performances. And what is the main cause of all the issues that have just been mentioned? It is mostly wires. The main challenges that occupy I went back a slide by accident. The main challenges that occupy the networked music performance all start with there being so many wired connection points. These connection speeds can be slowed down at multiple points. If the audio interface has bitrate issues, it affects the speed at which the computer reads the audio input from analog to digital. This can be continued from the PC to the interface if the USB connection uses an old port protocol such as USB 2.0 when 3.2 is available. It can slow down the connection between the two devices even further. If the Ethernet wire isn't damaged, the connection from the modem to the PC will tend to be quite consistent with the speeds. When it reaches the modem to the internet supplier, this is where new issues to do with bandwidth come into play. If the local area has fiber optic wires installed, the connection will tend to be very fast, but if the wires are copper, the bandwidth speed will perform much slower. But once all of the data has been transferred to the internet provider from the performer as the necessary speeds, everything will be synchronized and run smoothly. Then from the server side to the viewer, the rate at which they receive the data will depend on their setup, geographical location, and internet provider. Moving on to live performance setups, wires contribute a lot of issues within the live performance setup too. A lot of stage planning takes place to make sure that the musical setup is safe for both the performers and the audience. The most important is electrical hazards, making sure that the setup does not exceed a certain number of megaamps. Anything above 30 megaamps is considered dangerous. When there is a lot of electricity being used, this also can create an environment which can be prone to fire hazards. A lot of planning goes into cable management because This can also cause tripping hazards for the people working around the setup and for the people watching the performance. Removing wires out of the equation can help reduce the number of things that can go wrong within the setup, within setting up live performances. But because Bluetooth technology can be very expensive, a lot of smaller local venues don't have the money required, so cheaper options can be very, very helpful in this climate. And this is where I introduce the cheaper solution, well, part of this cheaper solution, which is currently a prototype. This wireless sampler can do everything that the Akai MPC 2000 XL can, but wirelessly and at a low latency, using only a laptop, Mac's software, and an OSC device. I added 4 buttons to a breadboard and attached them using the positive and negative wires to the OSC device, which has wireless signals, so I can connect it to my laptop. The only downside is that I also can't connect to the Wi-Fi at the same time because the connection from the OSC device takes up that spot. Access. Then I created my patch, built up of mostly functions, change functions, and load masses. I created an equation that could store the start point of any song, which created a start play feature, which is similar to a mixing, a live mixing desk. And a user can also add 4 samples to be played on one of the 4 buttons that they can assign themselves. I got a Bristol DJ and producer to test it called Sirhis. This can be seen in the video. Well, that is in my evaluation video, so it doesn't seem to want to work. But yeah.